Hi everyone, I'm Kino MacGregor and I want to welcome you into this Ashtanga tune-up series. This class is going to go into the technique and the awareness that's needed for Utkatasana or chair pose. This is a really foundational asana that is often when we rush through in the practice because it's really hard work on the legs, and there are many different ways that you can work your chair pose, just like there are many different chairs in the world. So I encourage you to explore really what works for you and find out what will best support your practice with the understanding that may change day by day. So we don't want to think about technique as kind of an absolutist right or wrong, but really the purpose of technique and tune-ups is to bring more awareness and more sensation and more kind of the feeling of awakening and aliveness into your practice, keeping a sense of spontaneity and creativity so that you're constantly allowed to explore what works for you. Okay, so let's think about the foundation of chair pose. In chair pose, we're working with a squat position, and the squat is really the foundation of how we sit and stand up from a chair. And you'll notice I have a chair behind me, which we're going to use in just a few moments. But first, I really want us to work with the elements of what makes a good squat. So if we think about squatting, you're thinking actually that your feet and your ankles play a big role in how deeply you're going to be able to go down in your chair pose or in Utkatasana. If you have stiff ankles, you might be limited by the lack of flexibility in the ankles. You might be surprised to find out that I actually had really stiff ankles when I started the practice. So let's actually start right down there in the ankles. So I'd like you to come to your kind of squat position and let your heels be off the ground. And then this is a way to test out, well, what's going on in my ankles? If you just kind of hang with a deep hip flexion, that your chest is resting on your thighs, and you allow your ankles to kind of bend, and you should see some folds in the fronts of your ankles, and that's a good indication that the ankles are folding. Now, right now, you want to look for a stretchy sensation, and I know some of you want to put your heels on the ground. Don't put the heels on the ground. Just allow yourself to almost put the heels on the ground. And then let's explore rocking a little bit forward so the weight comes more into the balls of the feet, rocking a little bit back so we can bend more in the ankles. We'll do that one more time. Rock a little bit forward. Then, as your heels start to feel weighty, I want you to come up onto your fingertips, walk your feet a little bit together, and then inhale and send the hips back so that the heels go on the ground. Exhale, come on down so the heels are a little bit off. Let them peel off. Inhale, the hips go back and up. Exhale, we sink down. Let's do one more time. Root the heels down. Great. Now, let's separate the heels just a little bit. Keep your big toes or the bases of the big toes very close together. Draw the knees in towards each other so you can give a very hint of internal rotation inside of the hip joints. Come onto your fingertips. Stay rooted down into the legs. And then we'll shift. So I shifted the weight from the back to the front. At the same time, I'm pushing down. The trochanters are moving back. The thighs are burning. This is a thigh burning asana. Then, keeping the strength of the legs rooted into the ground, ribs float away from the hips. Notice the tailbone. You're neither sticking it out, nor are you tucking it under. It's just a nice neutral position. A balance between front and back. So the knees are pitching forward and the hips are pulling back. Then the ribs float away from the hips. We externally rotate the shoulders and extend the arms. You can gaze forward, or you can gaze up at the thumbs. And then we're going to come all the way out. My thighs were burning there. Just like I said, this is a big thigh burning asana. So many people will exit this asana just because of that burning sensation in the thighs. But this is the way that your legs actually get stronger. So let's now see if we can enter this asana from standing, all right? Starting off in what we call samasthitihi, with the bases of the big toes relatively close together and the heels slightly separated. Then draw the knees in first, activating the pelvic floor. Let yourself sink down. There's a moment when you'll feel that as the knees move too much forward, the hips move back to counterbalance. You don't need to go all the way down, but a nice deep squat so that you can get this feeling of almost like a bouncy sensation in the legs. So just give yourself a little bouncy sensation. Nice. You want to get down enough so you can feel pressure in the ankle, just encouraging that fold, not too much. Let's bring it up for a moment. Good. Then sink down again. Balance of opposing forces. As the knees go forward, the hips move back, pelvis is in a neutral position. If you have any shoulder issues or neck issues, you could explore the cactus arm position. Then we externally rotate the shoulders and bring the elbows in, extending the arms up, gazing up at the thumbs. Samastitihi, back to standing. So we want to think about if the arms are coming together, you're using external rotation, and we're trying to find that vertical axis with the arms, all right? So it's the vertical axis with the arms. So if the arm comes forward, we may want to think about using the chest or using the shoulder to kind of get that vertical line. So if we're here in Utkatasana, and if we were to have to bend the elbows to reach the hands together, that's not really serving our external rotation. It might be better to just hold the cactus arms and think about drawing the elbows in. And this would give you that kind of rotation that would one day lead to extending the arms, all right? Okay, since Utkatasana is a chair pose, we're actually going to try this from the chair. And the chair, while you might think that it makes it easier, it can actually make it quite harder. So let's sit down in the chair, get yourself a nice chair where you can be pivoted forward to the very front of the seat of the chair. Now, the action of Utkatasana doesn't mean that you yourself become like a chair. It's the feeling as though you are about to sit down into a chair, and then we hold it right at that hovering point. So let's see if we can experiment with that a little bit. We should say also that if you have a hard time keeping your knees together, you could grab a block and place a block between the knees. This will give you that feeling of drawing your thighs towards each other and stabilizing the pelvis. If you're going to hold on to the block between the knees, you want to separate your feet to the distance above about hips width apart, or just so that your feet line up with the knees line up with the hips, okay? So let's try with the block once or twice. Pivot forward, just like you're about to sit up from the chair. Extend the arms, and then inhale as you pivot forward and push a little weight onto the feet. Then reach the hips back, and we'll do that 2 more times. Pivot forward, press into the legs, and you'll feel the ankles coming on, the balls of the feet, the ankle bones really folding on each other, and then reach back. Good, we're gonna do 1 more time. This last one's gonna be pretty hard. We pivot forward, and now sit back like you're about to sit into the chair, but don't sit in it, and then reach up. So now the back muscles start to be engaged. Extend and reach, reach, reach. Maybe the palms press, maybe the hands are open, maybe you're in cactus, and then exhale, find the chair. What a relief. Your thighs are going to burn tomorrow, and so are mine. So just remember that. There's no danger in the firecracker feeling in your thighs, just a high risk of soreness. Let's bring the feet back together, and we'll do it a few times without the block. So one of the most common mistakes people make in Utkatasana is that they tuck the tailbone, and then they go sort of straight up to the center line. And actually, we don't hit the center line if we're tucking the tailbone. We're deviating just a hair. So if you find the neutral position of your pelvis and then let the movement be natural like you're about to stand up, that's how you can really find that there's a flow that's harmonious in the pelvis. And then you won't be kind of forcing the body into any rigid architecture, but there'll be a kind of allowing space for you to make some small adjustments that might be right for you. All right, so let's try. Feel the legs. Notice the weight distribution in the feet, how there's not so much weight in the feet, the weight's in the hips, resting on the chair. Then activating the pelvic floor, start to pitch forward, and at the same time, pull the hips back. Then we'll extend the arms. Ribs float away from the hips, and we're externally rotating the shoulders. And then inhale, we come a little bit forward into the legs. Exhale, find the chair, bring it back. 1 more time. All the way up into our Utkatasana. Exhale, back to the chair. Inhale, we bring it up, and then this time sink back like you're about to sit into the chair, but don't sit, and then reach upward. That balance of opposing forces. We reach down with the legs, and at the same time, up with the torso. Maybe the palms press into each other, maybe we're in the cactus shape, maybe we're just extending up. Exhale, we bring it down. Ooh, the thighs nice and sore after that, huh? All right, so in your chair pose, in your Utkatasana, the most important thing for you to feel is the strength and stability of the legs, and then that will only come when you can get connected into the work of the ankles. So that's why we started off with the ankles. When you can feel that your legs root down through your ankle connection, through the feet, into the ground underneath you, that's the firm foundation for you to be able to get the feeling of up through the spinal axis. So the ribs float away from the hips and we get this expansive feeling. Finally, don't compromise the work of your shoulders to just put the hands together. We want to feel what rotation is possible. Maybe we're in the cactus shape, maybe we're extending the arms, maybe the hands are touching. Find what works for your shoulder, but constantly feel the minute sensation of what external rotation in the shoulder feels like. Continue to look for that as a lived experience within the body, and then we'll be doing the inner work of yoga. Remember, asana is not the goal. The awareness of all the sensation in the body, this is the goal. So with that in mind, keep practicing.